So today I'm at Babi Yar. Is one of the biggest actions done in the Holocaust, where it was actually people just shooting. I think it was the biggest, where they just shot people like on an individual basis. It was the biggest single massacre during the Holocaust done by the Einsatzgruppen, as well as local collaborators and German military police. This monument right here says that we're using Google Lens, so I couldn't tell you definitively. I do not speak or read Russian, but it says that it's for prisoners of war and citizens of Kiev who were killed during the war. So even though we got our own little war thing going on right now, I'm gonna look at this one. I'm gonna see what I can figure out from this place. It won't be much because nothing has English. Up here you can see actually they have it, and I can only assume both of these are in Russian and then one is in like Hebrew. So if any of you guys speak Russian or Hebrew, you get the idea. So I don't know if anybody who's watching this actually has been following the war in Ukraine, but there was a big thing in the news for a while about how Russia was trying to blow up this TV tower. I'm gonna get a little bit closer so you can see some of the damage they did next to it. The war is no longer anywhere around here. Today's what, the 25th? So it's April 25th right now. So the war is very long gone from the Kiev area. Very peaceful here. Still some sirens. There was actually one as we were walking into the park. Maybe you'll get one at some point during this. But you can literally see right here, Holocaust happened. Right there. There's still bombing. Well, we're bombing during this war. So, you know, a little bit of modern and historic tragedy thrown into one. This is the first thing I've seen actually in English. Here you go. This was just a cornerstone that they laid in memoriam on the 60th anniversary of the massacres here. Not much more to say other than that. It was in 2001. So. The buildings immediately surrounding the what is it called? TV tower are all blown up and stuff, and I wanted to show that, but unfortunately, oh, there it is. I was trying to find it in the background. It's literally right behind me. I was trying to show that, but they have guards posted there, and because it is obviously still a target, I'm assuming that's why they didn't want us to video it and show, you know, how close the Russians actually were to hitting it or whatever. I don't know. But it's a no-go on showing some blown up buildings for now from a couple weeks ago. So this monument is basically to the memory of the children that died during the Holocaust here at Babi Yar. And I think in Kiev in general, lots of them were executed with their families here in the pits, basically like everyone else. You can see people still leave, you know, toys and things like that for them, flowers. Even now in the middle of the war, when a lot of people are gone from the city, you know, people are still leaving these like, I don't want to call them offerings, but these like little things to remember the Holocaust that actually happened here. And you could see right now is like, the park looks very beautiful, I'd say, even though there's no leaves. I think it looks nicer this way. This rock is like a kind of like an artistic take on history. Basically, I don't think I'll be able to show it on camera, but you look in there. No, it's not gonna work. You look in there and you can see a picture of the actual massacre that happened here in the ravines here. All right, this is my friend Nico.
Howdy.
I was gonna not reveal where he's from, but apparently it's the United States if he's saying howdy. No. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Nico. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Before that, I spent 5 years in San Diego, California, where this guy's from, allegedly. Just out here on a beautiful day, enjoying a stroll in Ukraine.
He's one of my fellow backpackers across Ukraine. God bless America. Basically, down this entire road, it talks about different people that help different people who survived and the things they had to go through. Just lots of different perspectives on the event that actually happened here. You know, it talks about this area. It gives the history of the area in relation to this, you know, post-independence and so on and so forth, the whole way down. You can hear the sirens have started up again. It's a lot less common than it used to be, but it does still happen. Maybe it's not less common, I don't know, because this is like the second one within like 30 minutes, but they still happen. What was your biggest takeaway from this? We just went and read all of these plaques about the history here. What was your biggest takeaway?
I don't have one, unfortunately.
For me, I think it was definitely, I knew that there's 33,000 that died within the course of 2 days because I had read that on Wikipedia in the car on the way over here, because I am an intellectual. And
I'm a goblin.
And he is a goblin. But I didn't know that the murders kept happening here over a much longer period of time, and the total deaths here ended up being around like 70,000, which is pretty large for, you know, such a small area. It talked about, you know, how a lot of these bodies ended up being incinerated, and there's actually a concentration camp that was not so far away from here. So if there's any remains of that, that'll probably be the next location I actually go to after this. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. A huge number of prisoners of war ended up dying here as well. Kiev, the Battle of Kiev, was obviously the biggest encirclement and number of prisoners taken from a single battle in human history. What was the number? Do you remember? It was in the hundreds of thousands. Anyways, of them, I think it was 68,000 ended up dying throughout the course of the war, from, you know, everything from execution, malnutrition, disease, natural causes, as well as being murdered, of course. Pretty gory stuff here at this Holocaust thing. So one of the groups that was also affected, obviously, by this, everybody knows, gypsies were also killed throughout the Holocaust. The plaques over there actually talked about how a lot of the gypsies that were still, you know, moving around in wagons just like this were executed, but also gypsies who had settled down and become just part of normal life and lived in, you know, just regular houses on the fringes of towns and in their own communities, or even just integrated into Ukrainian/Soviet communities in the Kiev area. This, much less fanfare than the children's thing, is just a bushel of wheat and a single dead flower given. But I also imagine there's probably a much smaller gypsy population than Jewish or even just Ukrainian population that's here, because obviously this place did affect both, and children who were just Ukrainians did end up dying here too. So I can't actually speak to what's happening here. I can only assume, based on how it looks, that it's going to be like a new monument to the events that happened here. I'm not even going to run that through Google Lens, but it looks like they're building like a pyramid thing of what looks like shoes or like discarded clothes. I think it's stylized. It's not going to actually be stuff from the Holocaust, like artifacts, but I think that's what this is supposed to be. Could be wrong. Literally anybody with Google could prove me wrong right now. So prove that you're smart and prove me wrong down in the comments. So this is actually really interesting for an art thing. Like, usually I don't care anything about like modern art, but this is basically used as an extension of the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. If you follow the line from there straight all the way to here, this is where it would go through within accuracy of up to 10 meters, it says. So not necessarily perfectly, but essentially this is a straight line from here to the Wailing Wall, and they use it as essentially the same thing here. I don't know if this is a Jewish thing. I'm gonna assume it's not, but maybe it is. These crystals are here for like a health thing.
Yeah, some kind of connection between spirituality and physical.
Maybe that is something that's Jewish. I don't know.
There's actually instructions here on how to
Yeah.
interact with the crystals.
there's a picture, a diagram, if you will, of what to do with the crystals, how to line your body up to get the healing or whatever. I don't know. That's a little weird to me. I don't know. I'm just gonna leave that at I don't know, as I've said 4 times now. So here they have a like iron menorah, and in the background you can see they have like a symbolic synagogue that they built here for this location, because I mean, for the rest of the history of the Jewish people, which is an extremely long history already, this is always going to be a place that they're going to look back at as part of their history, part of, you know, the story of the founding of Israel. This is, without things like this happening in Europe, there wouldn't have been such the urgent push for everybody to go and find their own homeland and to make, you know, a country of their own, separate from people who have historically killed them for generations and hundreds of years. So it's pretty interesting getting to see this place, walking across Babi Yar, a place that I've heard about, you know, since I was a kid watching the History Channel. But very different getting to actually be here, look down into these ravines and know thousands of Jewish people were literally put to death here, there, you know, many of these places. The Germans blew the edges to just bury the guys impromptu in the places that they were executed. A lot of them, as I said earlier, ended up getting pulled up and incinerated and cremated. And it's a beautiful park. And if you didn't know the history of it, you know, that'd be a great place to come and enjoy, and just enjoy how for its aesthetic. But now it's a different type of thing. You come here and you really think about the history of this place and this people. This place, I think, is called the Road of Sorrow, which is very 90s punk of them. Or rock or whatever, I don't know what kind of genre that would be. Anyways, very nice, very beautiful place. History, modern, old, we got it all here. Come to Kiev, beautiful city. No more war, hashtag no more war. I don't know if it was done intentionally or just happened to be this way, in the same way that the Wailing Wall extension just happened to line up with this. This area, this park, was originally, this area of the park at least, was the old Jewish cemetery for the town. So this was already the resting place of the city's Jewish community, or at least part of it, and ended up being the resting place for pretty much the entirety of the city's Jewish community that didn't get to leave prior to the encirclement of the city and the occupation.